What's up? This is Vince Carter. You're listening to 3 Point Conversion. Check it out.
All right, everyone. Let's start on Zoom.
What's up, guys?
We'll start with Jeff on Zoom.
Hi, Jeff.
Coach, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, thanks for your help all season. My question, when you look at this team right now and you go into an offseason that's sure to be monumental after completing the goal of hosting a playoff game, what's a selling point to potential free agents and newcomers that this team had that wasn't necessarily here at the start of the 2022 season?
I mean, there's a lot of great franchises in this league, but I think, obviously what Joe and Clara, their vision for this program, our goal is to bring a championship here. And I think we have the facilities. I think that's a great selling point, especially with the crowds that we've got towards the end of the career. I think getting that support, that's fun. And it's Brooklyn. So, hopefully they like the pieces and what we did this year and what we're trying to build. And we're just a few pieces off. So it's not that we have to blow up the whole team. So we're just, a few pieces off. If we can get the right pieces, that will help obviously us continue our development.
You talk about those pieces. What do those pieces have? Steph Dolson, for example, says this team could use a healthy dose of aggressiveness. So in your opinion, from a coach's perspective, what do those pieces have?
What did Steph say? A healthy what?
Sense of aggressiveness. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, look, I think we need a little bit more toughness. And then that comes, this year, I think with our injuries and just trying to work out how this team works, but our toughest player was injured the whole year, and that's Spinoza Laney. So that obviously hurt us. We had to find other ways, and you adapt to what the players that you have. But I think for the most part, like when we're all on the same page, things look great. But and there's other times we're inconsistent. I think I spoke about that all season long at both ends of the floor. So look, I think a little bit more toughness, a little bit more, athleticism, ability to break down defenses one-on-one, where we don't have a lot of that. Benoit was that obviously near the end. I think those kind of players will help us, but it's more about, it's not just the player too, it's about the fit with the players that we do have, where we, Jonathan and I obviously haven't started those conversations yet, but we know, we think we laid a really solid foundation now, and now it's about going out and adding, there should be some pretty good free agents out there. And if we could just snail one or two, I think that would help us. That would lead us in the right direction to maybe progress even faster next year and go further in the playoffs. Because, the goal is to win a championship. So to do that, we'll just keep growing and together and adding a few pieces.
Appreciate your time and insight. Thanks for your help all year, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Kevin, yeah.
Hey, how you doing, Coach? This is Kevin from the 3 Point Conversion. So this was your first year with the Liberty, but I just wanted to know, what is something that you learned about yourself this past year?
Oh, well, I've been doing this for so long. I've been in so many different situations, but, I suppose this year is like, I come from Phoenix and I had a lot more experienced players. So there was more of a teaching component, probably more of a patience component, with trying to get them all on the same page and how we want to play at both ends of the floor. And but lucky I have pretty good patience, and I enjoyed the teaching part. So there's nothing I haven't seen before. It's just I love coaching in the WNBA, and I really enjoyed coaching this team, and I know there's going to be a really bright future here, so that really motivates me. But as a coach, I think every year, I can't say one thing, but I always say we keep evolving. That's a part of it, isn't it? Evolving how we want to play. For me, it's more like there's always things I can get better. I know I'm not perfect, but that's the beauty of this game, and I love coming back to compete and continue to grow and work on the areas that I think I would need to be better at to helping this team get over the hump. And, we do it collectively as a group.
Thanks, Coach.
Christos.
You rock that hat real cool, though.
Thank you. They can't see how cute I am. Christos? No? All right. We'll start here. Brian?
You're up, Brian. Let's go.
Hello, Coach. How are you today?
Oh,
Can
hi,
you hear me?
Christoph.
Yes.
Hey, Coach.
Hello.
I would like to ask you, what kind of growth do you see at the final stage of the season for your team, and what over from that season overall?
Hey, Christos, we're having a hard time hearing you. If you don't mind, drop it in the chat. We're gonna move on
Yeah,
for
you
time's sake, and then we'll come back around. Is that okay?
Thank you.
What kind of growth do you see from your team?
It's choppy, I'm sorry. Brian.
Can't hear you, sorry. Hi, Brian.
Throughout the year, the team has really done a lot of injuries, the beginning. How do you think the team is really able to persevere and stay connected even when everything didn't go to plan as it did? Didn't go to plan as it did?
Yeah, look, I think that's part of being a professional. It's, you know, we've all been in different situations, and it's handling adversity, and the quicker you handle it, the better you are. And I said that the lesson of the experience is always positive, even though at the time, you know, it was a grind there. We had more people out than we had in, trying to build chemistry on the court. And that, you know, that's why I say it's the patience. And you heard me all season long, don't get too high, too low. It's a long season. And it's it's not a sprint to we have to enjoy the journey and go through the hard stuff. And, you know, that helped us as we progress through the season, but it also will help us as we move forward. Everyone, you know, staff, everyone included. And that's why I said it was tough with the injuries. I won't lie about that. It was hard, especially with the new group and a new coach, a new system coming in, just to trying to get that. You want to get there quicker than what you want, but it just took a little longer because we never had people on the court that we could actually work with.
With this season being so hard with the next year, the season's going to expand, but there won't be extra afterwards. How do you think that will help the team develop that confidence?
Well, I think it will allow more practice time. You know, we went like end of the season, 5 and 9 days, you know, well, you can't practice. You got to get to the next one, watch video, you know, go back and then next one and focus on that with what you can. With a young group this year, you need to get on court. I mean, that's the only way you can teach. You can do, some of them are visual learners, others need to do it, you know, and everyone's different. And that's just how it is. And that's not right or wrong. It's just how it is. That's like a professional athlete, we learn differently. And then it's gaining that chemistry together, and that takes time. But I think, you know, obviously continuity certainly helps. So, you know, you got players that the more they play together, they learn each other and how they play. I think that certainly helps. And, you know, and then it's just taking that one game at a time. And obviously we don't know who's coming in and who's not coming in. And so until we get that, then we start planning of what's this team going to look, how do we want to play? But I do think we need to add the players so we can be more aggressive. So you need the right players to do that.
We'll take a few more minutes with Coach, but I want to go back to Christos' question. What kind of growth did you see in the final stage of the season, and what would you like to carry over for the next season to make the team better?
Yeah, look, I thought we competed harder, more together. Now we had our moments, you know, we go back to old habits, but I think you saw that we had to win the last 3 games, and that's a mental challenge in itself. What are we going to do? Are we going to, because if you don't do it together, you're not going to get. So that for me, that was a step in the right direction, because for a young group, you know, that's pressure. Everyone wants to make the playoffs. That's why we play. We want to go as far as we can. And so I think we handled pressure a little bit better. We worked out how to win the close ones a little bit better. Now are we where we need to be? Not quite, because you saw Chicago's, their experience played out. So we really also need to bring some experienced players in too to help that progress.
All right, we have time for one more from each of you. Thanks.
All right. So I'm curious if you can take me through how you thought you were able to accomplish what were 3 of your main objectives. And I'm going to take us back to January. So one of them was making this a better defensive team. 2, winning more than 12 games. And 3, continuing with that player development.
Yeah, no, I think we achieved all of that, quite honest. You know, I think we're a better defensive team. I still think there's areas we need to go on. You know, our best defensive players were injured nearly most of half all the year. Didi, that was included, and she, you know, it was hard to get her back in the rotations, but Joss as well. But then it was more about just going with the group that we had to build. But I thought defensively we got better. I think offensively that's where we're up and down. You know, that was the bigger thing, and we were inconsistent in that. We rely too much on outside scoring, but that's why we have to add, that other piece where we can get to the rim a little bit more. Obviously we won more than 12 wins, but 16, we can still do better than that. We know that. Our goal next year, we want to, you want to be in the top four. The top four has just made it through. Yeah, that shows. Even though some of games were competitive, it's the top four that certainly helps. And the last one, player development. I mean, that's a big part of what we do. I have a great staff. The assistants, they're aligned with players, and I think it's the videoing. It's not just, it's the just communication to them daily and getting on court and working with them. So I think players developed where they could when they were not injured and actually on the court.
And Sandy, thanks for talking to us again. You talked a lot about the adversity that this team has faced this season. What was the fulfilling moment on the other side for you from this 2022 Liberty team?
Look, the people. I think they're really good people, because they're not just players, and more than that to me, but they become my family. Building those kind of relationships and getting to know them more on a deeper level, and that I think that's good, and that's part of the coaching thing, because how you connect to your players. But look, I think making the playoffs, us having to fight, and we had an up and down. I can remember, Phoenix near the end of the season, that was one of our worst games, and it was more because I was disappointed because of lack of effort. But how they responded and came back, and a lack of, teamwork, but they started, when we do it together, that's more fulfilling. And I think when you're just making it to the playoff, that's always a relief. And it came down to that last game, which was a big game, but we had to play a lot of big games. And I think that's for a young group, that's what they need. They need to feel pressure. They need to know how to handle playing in, win or go home, win or go home. Now, obviously in the playoffs, we played an extremely good team, but that's our goal, is to learn from what we did this year and making sure we hit the ground running next year. So we don't take steps back, but we're adding pieces to continue more rapid improvement. And hopefully we have good health. I mean, we can't go through the injuries that we had this year with so many people in and out, and that include Beck Allen. And, it's just ridiculous. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Next up,
Thank you.
Jocelyn and Crystal. See you.
Good luck in the World Cup, Sandra.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Let's go. Go Eagles.
Stop, Joss.
Good morning.
All right, please raise your hands on Zoom if you have questions. We'll start here in the room. Brian.
I was like, why not raise my hand? Morning. Morning.
Crystal, you've been through a lot this year. Location. How do you think you were best able to finally get situated and succeed?
I was not ready for that to be the first question this morning. Yeah. It took a long time. I think longer than most people would expect. It wasn't as quick as I liked it for it to have been, because you do have a job to do at the end of the day. But my teammates did a really good job of telling me, I'm here to help, telling me how I can help, and making me feel a part of this team as quickly as I could.
My second question is, on a lighter note, what was your favorite moment about this season?
Making the playoffs for sure. I don't remember what the chance was for us to make it, but to finish out the season, and we did the regular season, winning those 3 games, was really hard, and it showed a lot of heart on this team. And so I'd say making the playoffs.
And Jocelyn, the team, one of the themes for the team is perseverance, and you were able to make it back for it after last year. Just how rewarding was it for you to be back on the team and contribute to the playoffs again?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who knows that journey of coming back from injury knows that it's hard. And when you do get those moments to be back on the court, to celebrate and just be with the team, the highs and lows, like that is so rewarding. And so still, it wasn't quite the season I would have liked. I still had highs and lows within this season, but every day and every opportunity that you get to play and get to get a little bit stronger, get a little bit faster and closer to being the player that you want to be or I want to be, that in itself is a rewarding journey. It's not easy, but always rewarding. Thanks. Oh, sorry. No, I don't want to be in the game.
So, I'll start with Jocelyn. I mean, I asked here in April, yes, it was April. I said, what does this year represent for the New York Liberty? So now that you've been through it all, what do you think this year represented for this country?
It's a step in the right direction. I feel like, last year we made the playoffs. This year we did it again, but a little bit more on our own terms rather than waiting to see what happens with other teams. And we're still growing, we're still building, there's still more to be done, but I think this year is definitely a step in the right direction, getting closer to where we want to be as an organization.
And also, what does this year represent for you? I know there were some highs and lows.
It's a year of growth. I feel like every year is that to some degree, but definitely one of perseverance. And I think I've grown a lot on the court, but also just personally going through the highs and lows of a season. So
For both of you, I'm curious as to what your off seasons are going to look like, and what are some things that you look to when it comes to player development? Because you're both still young players.
yeah. So I'll be going to Australia, playing there. So I'm very excited about that. And for me, it's getting back to being fully healthy, and just that's the number one focus, but also getting back to playing and letting the game come to me, getting my confidence and rhythm back so I can come back to New York and be better.
I'm not going overseas. I'll take a couple months off, and then go back to Tennessee and go be with my trainer. I'm a free agent, so I don't know where I'll be ending up, but hopefully it'll be in New York. Hopefully, if not, hopefully on a team. So
When it comes to player development, I'm curious what's your focus?
I think one for myself, I want to start incorporating in his lateral speed. I want to be able to pick up full court, like really pick up, not just the fake pressure. And then since I won't be playing, it won't be as far as like being able to know on time, on target type pass type thing, but being able to make a creative pass, something like that, create a shot, stuff like that, since I won't be playing overseas.
Crystal, sorry, I'm going to keep these questions about what this season was like for you, because it was a whirlwind of emotion at the start, and you talked about how it took you a little bit longer to settle in than people might have known. Was there a moment that you really felt like you were a part of this team for the long term, and when did you kind of stop, having a backpack basically, because it was a lot of back and forth with those 7-day contracts?
This is evoking a lot of emotion this morning. Good grief. Please give me a second.
If you want to take a second, did you have a question for Jocelyn?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. Thank you.
It's more, I'm so sorry, but it's also about a lot of what you faced. What's something that you learned about yourself this season, and coming back from last year's big injury, but then still having setbacks this year that you were able to battle through and get back to the court?
I've definitely learned to be more patient. I have a saying, comparison is a thief of all joy. And so in that, I think I could look at myself and compare my journey coming back from different injuries or setbacks to how different people respond. And that's not necessarily the most helpful way to go about the process. And so I think for me, I've learned to really be grounded in my own process and my own experience and focus on growing a little bit in that each day, not necessarily seeing how other people are, growing in their own process or in their own ways, because that's not necessarily going to be my own journey, my experience. And so I think that's been one of the big takeaways and ways I've grown this season. And just recognizing that when you do that, that helps you be steady throughout the season, and not necessarily cave to the highs and lows that are inevitable.
No.
I'm good. Can you just repeat the question?
Sure, I was just asking about the adversity that you faced early this season and the just kind of the unknowing part of those 7-day contracts and some of the other rosters that you were on this season, and just how you kind of settled in finally in New York, and if there was a moment for you that you felt like you were part of this team.
Well, to start, the season overall, coming back and being waived was hard. Not knowing, because you have to wait the how much ever time it is, not knowing who's interested. It's people basically have their rosters, but we have a league where people are gone because they're overseas. So Indiana calls and I'm like, okay, let's go do it. I'm only there for a week and barely that, because we only played, I think, 3 games, but it was so quick. It felt like really like I was on with the team like 4 days. And then I go home and I'm sitting down for, I think it was 9 days, and then New York calls. And because of how everything had gone on, because I've been overseas and I don't even want to be overseas, my grandmother passes, I don't even want to play. So New York calling and having my support system talk me up and like, no, you need to go do this, go have this opportunity, was huge, because it ended up working out. And I told JK that I really appreciate him bringing me in. I told the coaching staff I appreciate them bringing me in. It took a while to settle in, mainly because you have a vision for yourself and how you want your career to play out. And it hadn't been like that for the last 2 years. So bouncing around and coming to be with New York, being with the people that they are, the teammates that they are, really saved me. They're fun people. It was a fun team. You saw us on the court. Like we had fun out there. So they did help with that, but it was mostly just me. I didn't want to play. I wanted to, save my career basically, but I didn't want to play. So I think that was half the battle of it taking so long to settle in, just like 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door type deal. But like I said, I had really great people around me, my support system outside of this New York Liberty organization and inside it. So.
Thank you. Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Josh. Thanks.
Thank you.
Taylor and Weedy are up next. I know.
You're so incognito. Lisa's so incognito. That's exactly what I was going to say. Give me time in the middle. And
Wow.
We'll start with Jeff on Zoom.
this actually looks so white.
I look so light. Can we tap the screen?
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, both. Thank you both for being here today. I wanted to ask in this season of I'm over here. How you doing? No, in this season of adversity and resilience, what did you two in particular learn about yourselves, both as basketball players and human beings, in a challenging yet rewarding sophomore season?
I would say for me, I had a tough season just to start, coming off of injury, missing training camp, and then, trying to find my way in the rotation. So for me, I know that, it was tough just to start. So for me, I always try to, persevere through a lot of things. There's going to be ebbs and flows of the season. I tried to just have it in my mind. And I think that's kind of how we did as well as a team. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of games we should have won, a lot of things we should have done. And so those are things we're going to take as lessons and continue to persevere. But I think it showed just from myself, for our team, how resilient we were, even when things weren't going our way.
Oh, right. I think for me, same thing. It was a tough season considering I was injured for most of it. But I think I learned something very valuable in my life, which is never let your highs get you too high and your lows get you too low. Because it was really easy for me to get down to myself and, get into that hole that I was, digging for the longest. But I somehow, stayed afloat, and I was with the team that, loved me and had my back throughout everything. So I think what I learned was that, as well as knowing that I have sisters for life with this team.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Didi, because I wanted to ask about the relationship you two have formed since you came into New York last year. So in this difficult season, how did you two kind of rely on each other, and how did that friendship help you guys get through the season?
Mick is like that friend that dropped into your life that you didn't know you needed. Whenever we met, our senior year, we were roommates in McDonald's All-American, which is really awkward.
That's actually really crazy. We were roommates. That's weird.
And we didn't even, I don't feel like we said one word to each other. We didn't talk to each other. And then we get drafted here. And it's I'm really happy it happened. The circle of life is crazy because now I don't know what I would do without her. She's been that person for me since last year. She's been that person that I could talk to, that I could kind of cry to. And she's going to hopefully continue to be. She's kind of stuck with me.
And make anything to expound upon that? I know it's a tough act to follow, but anything to say about what Didi's meant to you?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. We were really grateful to be drafted together. Being a rookie is not easy. But having somebody next to you who who's been through who is going through what you're going through as well makes that much easier. And like you said, we've become sisters. We're with each other all the time. When you see Didi, you see Mick. You see Mick, you see Didi. And that's on and off the court as well. And so, my experience has been that much better with Didi here. I'm really grateful for her, and we'll be friends for life for sure.
Appreciate your time and insight, both of you. Thanks for all your help this year.
Thank you.
Right.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I think I also somewhat had that responsibility last year as well, having to do that. But there's so many great fours in this league. I could go down the list of every single team that has really dominant four players. And it makes me better. I was able to have the opportunity to play the three as well, which is something I really hadn't done. So that comes with guarding the three as well. And so just having that experience doing both was really beneficial for me. And it kind of put me where I was okay, where I need to learn, where I need to continue to keep getting better. Whether that's on the perimeter or on the post. And so for me, I was hopeful because I could see that, okay, I could play this position. But then it also helped me reveal that, okay, I can also be better and just kind of learn from both those positions.
The team has talked a lot about developing sisterhood throughout this season and really being there for each other. How do you think that sisterhood helps you as a basketball player and your next step as far as the next game?
I don't know. I think our team, we already demonstrated, sisterhood and how much we love each other. But it being one of our four pillars this year kind of made it a main focus for us. And I think it did help us as a team kind of grow with one another and get more connected along the season. Could have been better, absolutely. But that's something that we'll kind of work on next year as well. And for me, my game, just, staying healthy. Honestly, I think that's the first thing for me is just to stay healthy, be healthy, and like so I can at least have an opportunity to get on the court. I don't think I gave myself that opportunity this year, and I kind of regret it. So just being able to be a pro off the court as well, whether that be in the training room, ice tub, and doing little things like that to keep my body healthy.
Hello. So before the two of you came in, Crystal was talking to us about her journey this year, which was, it was a lot. And she told us that, she went back and forth about wanting to play or not when she got the call from work. She told us her grandmother passed away. So that's a lot. So what I want to know from the two of you is, what was it about this team that sort of allowed her, in her words, to want to play again?
I think, Crystal's a great player. I've been playing against her, for years when she was at UConn as well. And so I know the skills she attains, but I didn't really know who she was as a person. But, getting to her, I knew that she fit with this team so much and so well. And just, we needed a person who was going to push the pace, who was going to kind of relieve pressure off of Sabrina. She gets different type of defenses every single night. And so for Crystal to come in, have that burden where she's like going to go and start and, put us in those positions to be successful was really helpful for us. But just who she is as a person as well. She wants to win. She wants to compete. She wants to make us better. She's really funny. And I think she really just gels with our team as well. And so I'm happy she took the plunge. I'm happy that, through all of her circumstances, she decided that we were the ones, because we definitely did need her this year. And, sucks that, her grandmother and everything that happens, but I'm really glad that she chose us to be that place.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And, even for you, I'm curious about how, I know there was limited practice time this season, but I'm curious under Sandy's coaching staff, how you felt like there was a focus on player development.
Yeah, like you said, it was limited practice time, but I think they all made it an effort to whenever we had any kind of opening to kind of get your player development coach, which for me it was Zach, for her it was Ron, and whenever we would have any available time, they were in the gym with us. So yes, we had limited practice time, but Zach made it an effort all the time where whenever I asked him, we could have landed today, I was going to work out today, so he was really good about being in the gym with me whenever I needed to be in the gym, which for me is a lot. So I appreciate Zach for it.
I'll start with you. Inherited Jazz's role as hype woman.
Jazz.
We're bringing out the first five this year. What was your favorite high five and how did those come about?
I don't know. I had so many favorites. For the longest, it was Big Mama when she would Steph. It was Steph whenever she could swing her hair at the beginning of the season. She stopped doing that. And then it became JoJo's because I had to find something to get her out of her comfort zone because she's super reserved. So whenever she would do something, it would get me hype regardless. And then it became Tosh, and it became B because Queen B, and we put the crown on B's head. But I had a lot of favorites and it was super exciting. I can't wait to do it again. Oh my God. Yours was my favorite. In Dallas. It was Mick. Mick's was my favorite.
Oh, we didn't see that one. Oh, okay.
The one time.
I forgot.
And we've chatted throughout the season about your comfort level in adjusting to Sandy Bardello's system. What is the lesson that you've learned from your sophomore season where the growth wasn't quite as linear as it was last year?
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of ebbs and flows in seasons, and this year was not last year. I would always tell myself, you can't let the first drop of adversity, kind of make you step back. And so I just wanted to take it head on and really stay the course. And yeah, there was a lot of growth points this year where it was I had a hard time understanding exactly what my role was. I had a hard time understanding what the system was. It was new for me, new coaching staff, different than last year where, I was mainly a shooter, kind of opening the floor kind of thing, where it was here you had to really learn the game, know the reads, setting ball screens, which is something I wasn't doing last year. And so it was tough for me for sure, but just staying the course is something I really learned. And I think it's going to make me better in my career, learning this. So, I'm only in my second year. Learning this so young, I think it's really, really good that not everything is going to be peaches and cream like maybe it was my rookie year. And I'm going to continue to get better and just face it head on, and I'll be okay.
And then just What are your plans for both of you this offseason? Are you going back to Spain?
I will be going to Turkey.
Oh, Turkey.
That's so exciting.
How about you?
I'll be here doing the same thing, working out and getting healthy.
Last question from Christos for Didi. After everything you've been through this season, how much stronger mentally do you feel right now? It's a two-part. And then can you name the top 5 most stylish players in the league?
On the Liberty team.
On the Liberty team.
We had a good little
We have
drippy
a
drip
nice
team
little
this
team.
year.
Hani is up
Yeah,
there.
she is.
Hani's fire.
Okay, well, answer the first question.
Okay. I forget questions. They ask one at a time. No, I got it now. I think this year was very, very, very hard for me, honestly. Like I said, I had Mick with me all the time, but there was times where I felt that it was a burden to even talk to her. So I would just be in my room, I just be in my room looking at myself or trying to reflect. And again, that's when I learned not never let your highs get you too high, your lows get you too low, because if I did, it would have been a problem, but I didn't. And so now I feel like that has, made me who I am now, which is somebody that's really resilient. That can I feel like I can take on anything. And I feel like I've always been like that, but there are sometimes you kind of get tested. And I think this year was a test for me. But I'm super excited to, get in the gym and just get healthy and kind of get back on the court next year. I think that's kind of what I'm looking forward to most this offseason, just kind of perfecting what I feel like was the reason why I wasn't on the court this year. But yeah, thanks for asking about my mental health. So sweet, Chris. And for Drippy, I think definitely Hani, Mick, Benijah.
Yeah,
fire.
Benijah was get the fit.
I like Benijah. Tashi's tough
Yeah,
too,
she
with
chains.
all those chains. It's like
Does it
she has
include you?
130. I wasn't gonna include me because I would have said me first.
Okay, true. You got it, you got it.
But no, I really think our whole team's tough because even when Crystal decides to put on a fit, I love her little button ups. Sammy was good this year. I was very proud of Sammy this year. I know. I'm gonna say the whole team. I can't say 5. My team's fire. Go team.
Thank you.
See you next year on Didi's channel.
See you next year. Thank y'all for everything this year. Appreciate it.
You'll see.
You won't see.
Good luck.
All right, Sabrina's going to join us via Zoom. So if you have questions for her, feel free to ask. If you have questions on Zoom, please raise your hand. And we'll start here in the room with Brian.
Good morning.
How do you think you were able to persevere and stay strong and stay connected even when things weren't supposed to?
I think for me it was like I had been through this before. I've had about 3 other surgeries that I've had to find a way to bounce back from, and this was just another one of those. So just trying to stay patient with myself, with the process, not get too high, not get too low, and just work, knowing that I was coming back for something, more than myself. For me, wanting to get back out there, but then also to be able to try and help my teammates in any way that I could. And I just had a really great support system, with family and friends, the organization, teammates, coaches. So it was just, a little bit of everything.
And being Japan, this past week were the team was really able to get themselves back together after a slow start. What do you think was the most rewarding part of the season? All the sort of like injuries and balancing that.
I think we saw glimpses of just how great we can be, regardless of what was going on. regardless of injury, regardless of record, regardless of just really any kind of obstacle that we were dealing with, and still being able to make that playoff push was really good for us. And just imagine if we had all of that the entire season, where we would have ended up, we probably still be playing right now. And so I think that that's something to kind of hold on to and embrace as we move into the future.
You were, in a lot of ways, like a Swiss Army knife of the team. You were able to score, you were able to capture the defense. How do you think you were really able to expand your game to be such an all-star
Just having confidence in myself and my teammates having confidence in me, and just doing what I do best, and just playing my game, and just being in that mental mindset of being ready at all times.
And Sabrina, in a recent interview with Boardroom, you mentioned that this is going to be your first offseason where you're not having to rehab, and you'll be able to further expand and develop your game. How exciting do you think next season will be for you now that you'll have an offseason to really just expand your game, relax, and just sort of like enjoy the success of the season?
I could only hear half of your question, but yeah, I'm super excited to have a healthy off season and just be able to train. I don't think I really realized how much that kind of is a perk, and how being able to train, play like 5-on-5, just be a part of kind of that healthy athlete mindset really helps going into the season and just having confidence. And so I'm super excited to see what this off season is going to look like, because I haven't had one professionally yet, of just being able to continue to get better and work on my game in different ways.
Thank you, guys.
Jackie. All right. I will start with Tasha. I'm curious as to what you think this team needs in order to be able to take that next step, so that you guys are competing, beating the Chicagos of the world and are still playing right now, rather.
What we really need for this team? Good question. I feel like we need like a veteran point guard to to balance the floor for us, and help Sab as well. I think we probably get like another big to also help Steph out when it's time to rotate this subs in and out, whatever. In my opinion, that's what I think we need so far right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Elijah, for you, Sandy spoke about how it was really important for this young team to have pressure and to face it. I'm curious as to how that experience, especially at the end of the season, trying to get into the playoffs, how that helps this franchise move more toward where it wants and needs to be.
I think we just know what it looks like now. I think we know what it feels like to play in a series. We know what it looks like for teams to go on runs, but also to come back from that. We know what it looks like for teams to go on runs and not being able to sustain. So just trying to figure out on the best way to approach it for us and what we can do, so that we're the team that always gets out on the run and have to just hold people off and have them fighting back. So I think that there's a lot to learn from the playoffs of this year, and that's just what we're going to do.
I appreciate that. And Sabrina, I will speak up so you can hear me. I asked you back in April, just to sort of predict and say what you thought this season would represent. So now that you've been through it, what do you think this season represents for the organization and also for yourself?
Yeah, I think this season is definitely kind of just it's just kind of touching the surface of what we want. We want to be a playoff team every single year. And I think I've said this before, but not as a 7 or 8 seed, but we want to be in conversation as a top seed every single time. And so I think it's just laid the foundation down for what we can expect, but also what's to come and what that's going to take for us to get there. And obviously this will be a big off season with who else we kind of add and continuing to make the pieces of the puzzle work and all continue to develop on our game and continue to get better playing with each other. And next year we have to get better than obviously what we accomplished this year.
Thank you. I'm gonna go to Meredith on Zoom really quickly.
Hey there. Tosh got at this a little bit, but I'm going to ask Betnaja and then Sabrina as well. Sandy made it clear when she came out here that the team's going to be pretty active in free agency. What do the two of you think? What attributes would you like to see in a new teammate coming on board next year?
I don't know who you're asking.
Both of you, but Betnaja and then you, Sabrina.
Oh, good morning.
I think alluding to what Tosh said, I think we'll have Nayara coming back healthy next season, so that'll be good. A big body, somebody who can be physical as well, alongside Steph and Han, and be able to produce offensively on the other end. And like Tosh said, with maybe a veteran experienced point guard to help alleviate some of the pressure off of Sab and Crystal at times. I think that those would be really good pieces, but to be able to kind of just do some of the things that we lack here and there. If we need somebody to come in and apply pressure defensively, we need somebody to come in and score and, finish around the rim. Just a variety of different things. And I don't know who or what that will look like per se, but those are just some of my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I have no idea. I think that's a little bit out of kind of any of our control. It's just kind of what Jonathan and our coaches kind of decide on what we need. But I think at the end of the day, as long as you get a really good teammate who's going to come in and work hard and understand the culture of this team and continue to just kind of grow, and we're going to build together, that's really what's most important.
Thank you both.
So I'll start with you, Tosh. At the beginning of the season, you talked about how it was your first ever training camp and leaving overseas early. How did that help you stay fresh throughout the year? And are you planning on a similar schedule again this offseason?
It helped me really well, to come back early from overseas last season, to actually get my body right, my mind right, and prepare myself for, this season. This year, everything is up in the air when it comes to overseas right now. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might go, I might not. I'm not even sure yet.
And Betnaja, despite missing a majority of the year, you were looking more and more comfortable with each game as you came back. How satisfied were you in the playoffs, especially as you were getting more and more reps? And what are your goals for the off season so that you can hit the ground running next year?
I think it was good to see that that I was able so quickly to kind of find some comfort in the game, but then I also definitely had my moments where I'm just like, goodness, either I'm out of breath or, I don't feel like I can move the way that I need to. And so going into the off season, just taking some of that momentum, knowing that, I'm still capable of the things that I'm capable of, but just building upon that, continued rehab with my leg, with both knees. Just getting my win back, feeling comfortable, and then just continuing to get better at my game.
And Sabrina, you made statistical leaps across the board this season and finished your first fully healthy W season. And you were an all-star for the first time. What's a memory on court or off that you'll take with you from this season?
I think I don't know if there's one, but I just think kind of being along for the ride through a lot of the adversity that we faced this season is something that I'll definitely learn from. And although they weren't all kind of great memories like losing and stuff, I think it's just helped me understand, what it takes to win. And sometimes those wins weren't pretty, but we found a way. And so I think at the end of the day, that's something that you always kind of learn from, and I'm excited to be part of that process.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining. We'll send the recording shortly.